Hi, welcome to Teach With Me. I am Miss Jen. Today I'm going to be showing you how I would introduce sounds and new letters into the classroom. So today I'm going to pretend I'm introducing the letter M. I'm going to show you the I do, we do, you do. So the teacher instruction, the group practice, and the independent practice. I'm going to kind of show you the order of how I would teach this and what resources I would use. Now, knowing that every school district has a different curriculum that they use, the order of the letters that are introduced is different. But how you introduce the letters, how I would introduce the letters was the same, because I didn't always use what the curriculum said in terms of the way they introduce the letters, because I didn't like it. A lot of times it wasn't comprehensive enough. Sometimes it was too redundant. And sometimes it didn't have enough depth to it. So, having said that, I'm going to show you how I always introduce the letters. So we're going to start with the letter M today. We're going to pretend that that's the letter I'm introducing. And the very first thing I would do is I would say, boys and girls, today we're going to be learning the letter M. And I would show them, and you'll notice that there is a alphabet board behind me. And I would find that letter that we were introducing, and I would mark it in some way once we figured out which letter it was. So we're going to sing the alphabet, and when I'm going to tell the kids, boys and girls, we're doing the letter M. When I get to the letter M, I want you to tell me to stop. And I'm going to point to each letter as I say the alphabet. And when I get to M, they're going to tell me to stop, and they'll all shout stop. I will circle it, or I will put a Post-it on it in some way. They also have the alphabet on their desks or their tables, mark it with their names on it, but the alphabet will be listed on there, and I'll have them take their dry erase markers, which they all have in their desk boxes, and then they will mark the letter M. I also have a place on the calendar wall where I have all of the main components of the things we're learning that week, all the sight words, the letters we're introducing, and so forth, and that will be also there. So it's in multiple places. So after we identify the letter, I'm going to write it on the board or show it on my smart board, my whiteboard, my chart paper, however you're going to introduce it. You're going to have it written there. You're going to then, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, boys and girls, this is the letter M. I'm going to show you how to write it first. And we're going to write it first. That's the very first thing we're going to do. I'm going to show them how to make the letter M. I'm going to show them how to touch the lines. That's why you always want to have your sample when you're teaching them to write. You always want to have the line, oops, upside down, sorry about that. You always want to have them have the line so that they can gauge where it is. Because in kindergarten, they have, most of their paper is lined like this. And I'm going to say we always start at the top. Then we jump back up if we need to. And then I'll say uppercase letters, start at the top, come down, jump back up, slanted line down, slanted line up, straight line down. So once I make my letters, I'm going to then start playing a little silly game with them. I'm going to start saying, boys and girls, I want you to now judge my letters and tell me if I made it perfect or if I made a mistake. And I'll say, boys and girls, what do you think about my M right there? And they'll say, oh, it's not touching the lines. Oh, I said, good catch, you're right. I said, okay. I'm going to do a really good one this time. Look at this one. There. Is that a good one? And they'll say, no, it's too far below the line. I said, oh, good catch. You know, and we'll just keep doing that. And then until I think that they're understanding. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have some of the boys and girls come up and make their own letters. So they'll get to practice whole group as well. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce the sound, and I'm going to say, boys and girls, look at my mouth. The letter M makes that sound. Is my mouth open or closed? And they'll say, it's closed. I said, do you think I could make that sound with my mouth open? Why don't you try? And they'll try, and they won't be able to do it. And then I'll say, boys and girls, I'm going to say some words, and I want you to see if your mouth is open or closed when we say the words. And so I'll say words like mouse, and you try it. Is my mouth open or closed when I say that? Do you think that starts with a sound? And we'll go through that a few times. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, after we've done that a few times, and I think that they're kind of starting to get it a little bit, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move over to a sort where we're looking at a picture now. We're not just hearing words, we're looking at a picture. And let me show you behind me. I have a chart, and in it, it has the letters M. Oops, you can't see it. It has the letters M and the letter N. And we're going to go through some pictures. So I might say, boys and girls, map. Map. That starts with the sound. So I'm going to put it in the M side. And then I might say, now I'm going to have another letter here because we're doing a compare and contrast, but this will not be a brand new letter. This should be a sound you've already taught before. So it's a comparison. And I have to remind them the letter N makes the sound. Look how my mouth is when I make that sound, and the letter M goes So newspaper. Do you think that's an M or an N? And then we'll do a few on the pocket chart. Then what's going to happen is I'm going to say, boys and girls, take out your mats. Now, right now we're working whole group on the carpet. I always introduce things whole group on the carpet. But at the same time, I have my kids divided up into groups, color groups, based on their reading levels. And everything that I do in my classroom is color coded. Now, each child already has a dry erase marker, and they have a dry erase board. And I'm going to tell them, when you come to group today, when you come to the carpet today, bring your marker and bring your board or your mat. And I'm going to say, on one side I want you to write the letter M, on the other side I want you to write the letter N. And then we're going to play the same game, and I'm going to hold up some picture cards, and I'm going to ask them to say, does that start with M or N? Show me which letter it starts with. So this does a couple of things. Not only does this tell me which group they're in, but it tells me at a glance who is understanding, who is hearing the correct sounds, and who is not, because they're not allowed to shout out when they do this. It also lets me tell at a glance which groups, maybe there's a group that I need to work with more. So this is a really good assessment piece. The kids can move groups, let's say, because I have my groups based on what I think they need. I have groups that are working on letter sounds, fluency, comprehension. Maybe some groups are at like a high kinder fluency, and some are at a first grade or second grade fluency. Whatever it is, the kids can move, though. They're not static in their groups. So just so you know, but that's the beauty of this. It's so easy to change out. So if a child changes a group, all I do is move their card to the next group and switch out the color of their mat. So it's an easy switch. Okay. I forgot to mention a key piece. When I'm introducing the sounds, and after we've gone through what sound does it make, like that, I'm going to play a song. I'm going to play a Jack Hartman song. I'm going to play a Have Fun teaching song. These are YouTube channels that have fabulous videos with letter sounds, with sight words, all of that sort of thing. So I play that every single day of that week where we're introducing that letter. And you can mix up the songs, but it has to be the same letter. All right, so now that's the whole group time. Now, your curriculum usually comes with pieces you need to be working on. There's a phonics workbook or what have you, and I usually did that in small group. So I would be working with that group of kids with their curriculum. But what are the rest of the kids doing, especially if you don't have help? So the rest of the kids are going to work independently, and I'm going to show you in another video how I organized all of this. But the independent group is going to be doing something that reinforces what you just taught them. So it might be something like this, where you have those same letters and they're doing different pictures and doing a sort. And then they'll turn this in and you'll have a really good like assessment piece that you can just at a glance say, okay, they need more help or they got it, and you can send this home. Now, if you remember last week I introduced task boxes. Task boxes are independent, but they're not independent work. They are for when the kids are done with their work. So whole group, I'm going to introduce the letter. I'm going to do some of the practice where we're doing sorts together. Small group, I'm going to be working with their curriculum piece. Independent practice, they're going to be on their own, or if I happen to be lucky enough to have a volunteer, they're going to be doing something like this. And then let's say they're done with their independent work and you're still doing groups. Well, then they go grab a task box, and maybe for the following week, because you'll not have this that first week, because this is going to be not introduced as a task box until they've had enough practice with it. Right? So this is just supplemental practice. So you could turn this into a task box and laminate all of these letters and make it into a sort that they can go grab when they need more things to do. All right, I think that is it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, subscribe, and share. Let me show you my shirt real quick. It says, "We are hungry for learning." Have a great day. See you next time.